Okay. All right, so today is Wednesday, April 1st, 2020. We're lucky to have Captain Robert Newson with us. He's a retired U.S. Navy SEAL. He's had 30-year career as a SEAL in which he led strategy for the Naval Special Warfare Command, which encompasses about 10,000 sailors and support staff, including all of the SEAL teams. He also led Special Operations Command in Yemen during the war there, 2010 to 2012. And sort of more recently, he was the director of the White House Military Unit, which is responsible for military support to the president, including Air Force One, Marine One, Camp David, and the White House Medical Office. And currently, as a civilian, he's the vice president of strategy for the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, the reason he's speaking with us today is that in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, we all realize that in recent weeks, and to an even greater extent in the weeks to come, our job and our duty is going to include some gut-wrenching scenes of suffering and death, and it's also going to include risks to our own health and lives. And it's natural for us to feel fear, but we're also still going to work and doing our duty. And being afraid and meanwhile doing your duty anyway, that is the definition of courage. So Rob has been in the fight, and in a 30 years as a U.S. Navy SEAL, he's spent a lot of time thinking about bravery and service. And now as you've had this situation sort of thrust upon you with very little time to mentally prepare for it, Rob has volunteered to speak with us and help us make some sense of the mix of vulnerability and doubt and courage and sense of duty that we're feeling. So without any more ado, this is Captain Robert Newson.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate your time. I appreciate everybody being here, and it's truly an honor to me. You know, since 9/11, it became somewhat routine and still special to have little kids or people running up to me in uniform and thanking me for my service. I've been stirred to do the same thing every time I see somebody in scrubs. What a time of service for you guys. So thank you. I hope my lessons from SEAL training and war can help you in this moment. In this time of times, I have 5 points. You have more in common with warriors than you know. Shorten your time horizon. Focus outward. Number 4 is self-care is essential. And number 5, you were made for this moment. Believe it and live it. My partner and teammate, my better half, and my hero is an ER doc. She and I agree. Navy SEALs and ER docs share something in common. We, all of us, have a little bit of cowboy, a little bit of buccaneer in us. We are drawn to the chaos and the challenge. We run into the breach and through the fire simply because that's who we are. It's why we are drawn to what we do. If you're an ER resident or a doc, you're a little bit left of center, like me. I've spent 30 years as a Navy SEAL, almost 3 years of my life overseas in the fight, Iraq, Afghanistan, Yemen. I have feared for my life, and I've worried over my family back home. I know what you are feeling. I've been where you are. I want to do this. I was made to do this, but I'd rather not die doing it. So you see, we have a lot in common. In SEAL training, we have this thing we call Hell Week. It's a marathon of suffering. 5 days and nights with little sleep, constant activity, the brutal cold of the Pacific Ocean, and utter, sheer exhaustion. The important lesson when you are facing a mountain of pain and endless effort in an unforgiving situation, shorten your time horizon. Don't pull future pain forward. Focus on this evolution. what I'm doing right now. You get through it one thing at a time. Don't look around and say, there is no way I can do all of this. Just do one thing, the thing right in front of you. Win this evolution. Jim Stockdale, a Vietnam POW, talked about a certainty of belief in getting through the darkness without creating an imaginary finish line. It's not this Easter or 4th of July or some future date. It's over when it's over, and we don't get to control that. Yet believe whenever the end comes, you will be on the other side. So my second point, shorten your time horizon and do the thing right now. Focus outside of yourself. Do not focus inward. If you dwell on the suck, if you're constantly taking inventory of your pain and your frustration, you're wasting your time and sapping your will. Turn to your left and right. Look behind you. Somebody needs a little bit of encouragement and a distraction from their own discomfort. Help them focus on the now. Help them smile or laugh just for a moment. Help them do better and want to be better in the moment. Be an example, a gentle spur. Think ahead for the team and encourage others to be in the moment while you collectively plan the next 2 moves. ER docs are leaders in the pit. Leaders care for others and they pay attention to the team. Focus outward. Not only is it vital for your team's success, but it eases your own pain. It blunts the pain that an inward focus would amplify. Find the humor in the absurdity. Yes, this is obscene and ridiculous, and oh, truly, poor suffering humanity. This is awful. It's unfair and it's unjust. But in the middle of it, there is humanity and humor, and both the opportunity and the need for lightheartedness. Search for it, find it, embrace it. Laughing is good medicine, especially when you're getting your ass kicked. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Don't try to ease it or end it. That's not going to happen. Just sit in it. Accept that you can be so unbelievably uncomfortable, so bone tired, and yet do your job. The human body and our unbreakable will are amazing things. They will take you so much farther than you realize. Believe you have it in you, because you do. So my third point, focus outward. Practice some self-care. On deployment, at war, it's easy to drive yourself into the ground. Long days and long nights with little sleep, probably not the best nutrition, and always more to do than you can ever possibly get to. I know, sounds like residency. And now a pandemic on top of that. You and your teammates in danger, maybe even losing some teammates in the fight. It will wear on you physically, emotionally, spiritually. You can't pour yourself out if you don't fill yourself up. Know that you will never fully top yourself off, not in the fight. That can't be the bar you set. But you have to find moments where you put something in the tank. Steal some sleep, eat something healthy, exercise, find a bit of distraction. Turn it all off, even for a moment if you can. The fight will be there when you return. Take care of yourself because you are the fight. We in the SEAL teams have changed our narrative about mental training and psychological health. You don't have to be sick to get better. You aren't damaged goods if you seek help. We are athletes. We go to the gym. We rehab our muscles and bones. We get some rolfing or massage therapy to work out the knots. Your heart will get bruised and you will suffer. Find the chaplain or the psychologist and just talk. Work out the knots in your heart and your soul. It doesn't get better by shoving it down and ignoring it. For you manly men and hard chicks, crying is good medicine too. You won't have the luxury to properly grieve in the fight. You have to keep after it and keep fighting. But find the space to honor those you have lost and honor yourself and the team for the valiant fight you're in. There will be moments when you are alone or with the ones you love. It may be soon or it may be years from now. And it may be over something sentimental or sappy or for no apparent reason at all, and the tears will fall. Let it happen and don't be ashamed. It's a healthy release valve. In those moments, I know I'm allowing myself to feel, to have empathy for others and myself. Allow yourself that. It is necessary medicine. So my fourth point, take care of yourself. We need you. I want to close with some context and something that I know it just isn't quite right, but it's still true. I was mentoring my Centennial SEAL training class, and my wife asked if I felt sorry for them. I didn't, and I don't. Hell Week is an opportunity that few get, to be tested, to outlast the pain, and come through the other side. No residency will ever be like yours. When you look back, when you see young residents through your older eyes, you're going to feel a little bit sorry for them, because they will never know what it's like now to be called upon by your community, by your nation, by the world in a time of great crisis, to answer the bell time and time again when you're afraid and bone tired and all you want is for it to end. And it doesn't. The waves just keep coming. They will never know what it's like to get knocked down to your knees over and over, only to get back up every time and keep fighting. I hope they'll never know, but pity them, because they were not there on your St. Crispin's Day. For he that sheds his blood with me today is my brother, my family. Right now, you are finding your tribe and earning your honored place in it. Know that. What a gift to have your calling in a time of great need. You are up to the task. You will be tested, and you will all, at one time or another, fall short. That's human. We all do. Get up, dust yourself off, and stay in the fight. You can do this. Someday, I hope to bring my wife to New York and stand on the sidewalk when the nation celebrates its heroes with a ticker tape parade. I can see it so clearly. The hard-fought battle behind us, the loss and pain still fresh, but the joy and thanksgiving of a nation expressed in that great American tradition of honoring its heroes. Doctors and nurses, EMTs and first responders, and delivery people, let's include them. All your teammates represented and honored. And I know most of you will still be in the ER, but you'll take a moment and see that spectacle on TV. I know you don't care about that. Heroes don't want or think about that, but it's important to know who you are and to know what you are doing matters on a scale that is hard to imagine. That picture of that classic New York parade, I hope places you in the context that you're living. This is the fight of your lifetime, a fight that you will win. This is your moment, and you were made for it. And we, this nation, and the world are grateful for you. Stay in the fight and focus on the thing right in front of you. Crush that one task and keep moving forward. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of what you do. Be proud of your teammates beside you. What else do you want to talk about?
Well, to Captain Robert Newson, on behalf of all of the residents and faculty of the New York Presbyterian Emergency Medicine Residency Program, thank you for your time and for your insight into our current plight. Thank you for your service to us, and more importantly, to your service over the last 30 years to our country. So let's open it up now in case anyone has some more specific questions for you.
I have a question, Captain. Thank you for taking the time to chat with us. You know, you mentioned a couple things like we're going to fall and we got to dust ourselves off again. What did the Navy SEALs do when someone came to you and said, I can't do this anymore. It's too much. There's too much going on at home. There's too much going on at work, you know, and it's just, you know, mentally too taxing. What do they do? What's the response? How do we deal with that kind of pressure and stress?
Yeah, and it's going to happen, right? Lives don't stop, and sometimes we pull guys out of the fight, and they have to take care of their family. They have to do something that is vitally important, and so you pick up the slack, and they know and appreciate that, and are getting back to the fight as soon as possible. And so I think the key is just stepping up when you can step up, but also not being afraid to say, I need to take a knee. And sometimes, you know, you're going to take that knee in 2-minute breaks, and sometimes you need a day to get home and take care of some business and family and whatever. You just have to, it's not balance. Balance is the wrong term, but there's harmony and there's load sharing that come in that is vitally important.
I have a question. I'm Alexis Halpern. I'm part of this faculty. You mentioned something about, you know, sometimes you're affected and you have to step out and you get wounded or whatever it is. And of course, I'm asking this from a personal standpoint, but I think that probably a lot of my colleagues might be in the same space. You know, if you do get, for us, you know, sick and you're out and you're away from it all, and then you have this incredible guilt because you're not there, and then you have to step back in, which I can imagine would relate to your work as well. How do you overcome that? I mean, what do you tell yourself about the guilt, and what do you tell yourself about the fear of going back in?
Yeah, nobody wants to let their teammates down, and you know, if you're pulled out of the fight for whatever reason, we're constantly trying to get back in, and we have had to hold people out. You know, we have concussion protocols when a guy gets his bell rung in combat. He's on the sideline for a little bit as he's assessed and as he recovers, and he doesn't want to do that. So I guess the guilt part is something that if you're focused outward, if you're thinking about the team and not yourself, it's easier to deal with, right? And there's things that you can do at home. There's things that you can do for people's families. If that's just reaching out while you're stuck at home to engage people. So I guess the point is, you're never out of the fight. It's just you're taking a different role in that fight as you recover, or as you're quarantined, or whatever the situation may be. You know, think about staying in the fight, thinking about what you can do, and it's not about letting each other down. It's about holding each other up, and so you're going to find a way back in, and you're going to join the fight. Don't beat yourself up over missing, you know, a day or a week or 2 weeks. This is going to be a long one, and people are going to get sick. They're going to get pulled out, and then they're going to come back. So just keep your head in it and think of others.
Captain Newson.
Yeah.
I have a question. We try to empower our trainees to be leaders in their own right with everything that they do. And in the emergency department, we are all trying to be our own generals, but as the captain, as the person who's in charge of a large fleet of people, how do you deal with when you do lose somebody? And how do you deal with the uncertainty, and what are some strategies for how to cope with that and develop resiliency?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And I think it's important to establish a routine. My ER wife, Doc, was in the military when 9/11 happened, and folks in her department were going forward just as the war kicked off, and they were losing people. And they made it a very clear practice to stop and honor the people they lost and honor the team that fought to save them. When we lose people in Iraq and Afghanistan, there's a ramp ceremony where everybody gathers at the end of the plane when they put the casket on, and it's a moment for the group to share the grief and the loss and be together with teammates. So, some way in the midst of a crazy ER with, beds stacked in the hallways, you have to find a moment where everyone can collectively take a breath and think about both the loss and the honor of what you're doing. And so, I don't know if that's at the end of the day or at a shift change, but find the right moment where you guys can share that, and it's just not individuals being alone, grieving separately. Have a moment to be together.
So maybe out of respect for everybody's time, maybe we should do perhaps one more question.
This is Ken, one of the residents. I'm wondering, as a Navy SEAL, you probably encountered some pretty difficult ethical situations sometimes. Would you be able to share an example from your career of how you dealt with such a decision in a difficult time?
Yeah, we talk a lot about it because we're faced with a lot of difficult situations, right? And it's the most difficult situations. There's black and there's white, and it may be a clear-cut decision that is just hard to make because it puts you in an uncomfortable position. But then the worst decisions are when you're choosing between two terrible options. And what I tell everyone that I work with is you have to think about your values before they're tested. Think constantly, daily about what your values are and how you're going to make decisions. And if you don't do that, if you don't think about what matters to you, we tend to make decisions on the spur of the moment, on the necessity or on a gut feeling instead of what our values are. So to me, that's the most important thing is, maybe daily, you guys are going to be tested with some incredibly difficult decisions on who to save and who to let pass by while you're working on a ton of other people. Think about your decision making at the start of the day when you were not in that horrible place, and then once you've made that decision, you're going to have to move on. You cannot sit back and think and wonder, well, was that the right move? When it's all over, there's going to be time to look back and think about where you could have done better. But again, it's in the moment, you're doing the one thing and then you're moving on. And when you do that one thing, if you've got your values front and center, then it makes those decisions harder. I mean, it makes those hard decisions easier.
So again, Captain Rob Newson, on behalf of all the residents and the faculty at both Columbia and Cornell, thanks very much for taking some time to chat with us. I can speak personally, and I'm pretty sure I can speak for a lot of us. A lot of what you had to say struck very deeply and was particularly poignant and appropriate to what we're going through right now. And I think you've done us a terrific service. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark. God bless you guys, and stay safe, and you know, help each other through this. We're all counting on you.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.